Welcome to the Startup Grind.
So it's funny, I met someone here in the audience who was actually from the same area of California where I'm from. I grew up on a small farm in Central California. I think I had dreams of being a farmer or maybe a cowboy when I grew up. And no plans of moving to what I would call LA at the time, because everybody who lives north of Southern California thinks it's all Los Angeles. So that's where I grew up. I came down here for college, met Kenny. I think we've been friends for over 15 years. Yeah. And then this crazy little idea happened, and like you said, it's crazy the amount of money our customers have made and the success we've had from just an idea we had, and it worked. It's crazy. But
yeah.
A little bit about you?
I grew up here in Orange County, Irvine boy all the way.
Native.
Woo! Yeah, Irvine High School. And and kind of like Travis, just an ordinary guy. Went to school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I majored in computer science and got a degree there. And then decided, I'll just start consulting. And so I got some other just sort of boring jobs and from failed .com startups and things back in the day, and realized I didn't want to do that my whole life. I wanted to kind of just hatch my own thing. Yeah. And that's when we met each other, and he was very entrepreneurial as well.
Yeah, both of us have worked in software since, I think, '98 was my first job here in Orange County. So before the .com boom and bust. And so, I mean, we've been around for a while. We've worked for a lot of the big companies here locally, and we always had that vision of one day to break out of the cubicle somehow. And, we'd meet for lunch like every single week. A lot of times it was at Chick-fil-A, which is kind of random, and we'd had all these crazy ideas over the years, and one day we're going to do this, one day we're going to come up with that. And then finally the Kajabi idea came to life, and it was crazy how once we had that idea, things just started coming, and they were just being aligned. And we eventually got to the point where it was like, we knew that it would only fail if we didn't keep moving forward. Everything else was just falling in place as we just kept moving. Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
And how did you actually come up with the Kajabi idea? Like, what triggered that?
Well, so we kind of would meet for lunch, and talk about different business ideas. And so this wasn't our first idea. It's the first one that we really doubled down on.
We had ideas from like online tuxedo shops to consulting to just all kinds of ideas that were total busts. But
yeah, so this one though, I've got 3 young boys, and on my cul-de-sac where I live, I had built out of PVC pipe this little sprinkler system thing. It plugs into the hose and it sprays water down, and the kids ride their bikes through.
It's like a car wash.
Yeah,
for
bike
bikes.
wash, car wash, whatever. And neighbors would come up and say, "Hey, where can I get one of these?" And so one day at lunch, I said, "Hey, Travis, let's build these and sell these things." And that idea lasted probably 5 minutes.
Yeah, we had this grand vision of like cutting all the pieces and packaging it and building an online store and shipping all these things. And then we're like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of lazy, and we're like,
we're never going to make money off of
we're never going to do that.
And so I'm like, hey, let's video us making these things and sell the plans. And so that's kind of how it hatched. And we realized, him being a designer, me being a programmer, of course we could just hack something together and sell this, and it was really hard.
And we'd seen this world where people had sold information online, like how to make money on eBay back then, how to make money with Google Ads, or there was all these people trying to do that. So we followed what we saw them do, and we got WordPress and some plugins, and we tried to hack it together to sell this information. And we're like, wait a minute, we're technical, and this is really hard. So we thought, what if we could make a platform that did this?
Yeah. And there's like learning platforms and LMS systems and things, but we realized like the knowledge on how to make a kid's sprinkler system is not something you go to school for. It's not, you don't need this accreditation. It's just people know things that are valuable to other people. Yeah. And so we wanted to make a platform that makes it accessible for those people to sell their knowledge. Yeah.
But we had no connections though. We had this idea, we had no connections, and we're like, well, what do we do now? And so I used back then Twitter, and we started connecting with those guys that were really big into selling information and doing online marketing. And we didn't know anybody, so we started connecting with these guys, and we just did projects for them. We would build websites for them. We built this dumb game. Yeah. We built like a Twitter scavenger hunt game for one of the guys we met. We got to know him really well.
That's still a good idea, by the way.
It's funny, our first hire, who was his college roommate, hacked the game and made a program that would guess the game, and he kept winning it. And so he actually joined the Kajabi team later, but that was a funny story. But so we built that trust with that one person in that space, which then allowed us to build more trust to that space. And then we have this concept now, we call it marketing to the front row. Like, we went after all these big guys in that space, and they used, eventually Kajabi didn't even exist. Like our first customer, we're like pitching the idea to him, like, what if we could build this system that would allow you to sell all your content online instead of mailing DVDs? And he's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. So I had a full-time job, Kenny had a full-time job, and this was in 2009, the fall. Because it was in the summer we first started getting that idea. In fact, it was on Kenny's birthday when we first had that idea. And then in the fall, we'd work all day, and we'd follow the Gary Vaynerchuk style of, you know, work and then come home, kiss your kids, and then get back to work. And sometimes we'd work all night and then wake up and go to our regular jobs, and we did that all the way until January. And then I quit, and our first customer launched right around the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I remember we were getting the same traffic as like ESPN. And our system was working, and we're like, oh my God, this is working. And then that first customer made $1 million on our system, and we're like, holy crap. And that was insane to watch those orders come in, and we're going, boom, it's working, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And so that customer had success. So then we lined up another huge customer, and then we did that all year until the fall of 2010. And all these customers had phenomenal success. And then our secret plan was every one of their customers would want to be our customers. It's like Tiger Woods winning the Masters with your golf clubs, you know, if you can pull that off. And somehow through luck and hard work, we did that.
What are some of the challenges that you two faced? I mean, being co-founders, you know, it's like kind of this marriage. You have to like get along. I mean, how do you guys do it? Do you guys fight? Do you guys
it is like
agree on everything?
You know, a lot of times we describe our lives and we say we're partners, and since we're in California, they think we're partners. It's funny. Because not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I have boys, he has boys, we talk about our kids, and it's funny how it is a marriage. I mean, some days we get along great, sometimes we want to kill each other.
Yeah, but I think it was the unified vision from the very beginning, though. Like, back before even the Kajabi Idea hatched, we knew someday we were going to have an office and a creative office space. I mean, down to like we're going to have brick or stone on the walls. Like, we're going to have an awesome team, like of handpicked just the best designers and programs. Like, we knew that, and I think that's helped.
It wasn't like this frilly vision. Like we were like, okay, here's where we want to go, and then we get back to work. We didn't like just only look at this vision, but we also noticed that whenever we agreed upon something, we knew it must be good. It was only when one of us had like, oh, I don't know. But once we both were like, this is a good idea, we knew whatever it was, whether it was picking an office or hiring employees, like we were just saying like, you know, we would hire before we could afford people. We just were like, oh, we got to have this guy. And we'd go and like talk, can we even afford this every month? I mean, but as long as we agreed, we knew it was the right decision. So.
Well, and I actually got to visit their office, and they do have an amazing team, and they've done like so many cool things and design, and it's a really great space. There's even other people in there that aren't even with your company too.
Yeah.
I know you guys didn't raise money, and I kind of mentioned that at the beginning. What is something that you would like maybe advise entrepreneurs on raising money? Should they, shouldn't they? If they don't need it, I mean, what's your thought on it? Because you guys were actually successful, and they've built this really amazing company.
I think that's one thing that we agreed on at the very beginning is if at all possible, we didn't want that. And not that we think it's bad or we judge those that do accept money, but we didn't want to serve another master. We want to serve our customers and build customers that they, or build a tool that they want to pay for. And I just thought that, or we both thought that you're answering to customers and then an investor somewhere.
And we've had friends that have gone that gauntlet of VC, and it just wasn't the vision. We wanted to have happy customers that allowed us to have cash flow. That we wanted that to be what we focused on, and not, is this investor happy, or do they want us to try to get in their series? We didn't have to think about any of that, which is on the flip side, we had to think about making sure money came in, which maybe sometimes that's harder.
There's definitely some businesses out there that you just need some venture capital to get going. But ours, it's like, if it's valuable enough for people to pay for, they're going to pay us on day one, and that's going to pay the bills.
Yeah, for our situation, I wouldn't imagine doing it any other way. So.
What are maybe some best practices that you might advise entrepreneurs to either seek funding or even going about finding mentors or people that might be able to give them some advice, you know?
Well, I think definitely you have mentors. We had mentors we never met. I mean, you guys have all heard of 37 Signals. We looked at them as a company and tried to model how they did things. And just, I'm a crazy reader. I'm always listening to ebooks and stuff, so I'm always trying to like think of how this should go. But
just networking. I mean, the Twitter thing. Just meeting people that are doing it, you know, and trying to glean advice from them.
It's that whole thing of just getting to know more people. I think one advice too, like that I heard somewhere about, like, your team is your most important thing. Our people are our number one asset, good people. And we're really slow to pick them, but we're super fast at being like, no, this isn't working out. Yeah. Because every person on your team that isn't pulling their weight is jeopardizing it for everybody else. For that, like we have this really cool office, it's a lot of fun, and if they're not able to be highly productive in that environment, I mean, it jeopardizes for everybody else. So.
Yeah. One thing about this funding is we have a friend who started a company, got funding from the Bay Area, and his worry changed from creating a good product and designing a good product to how are we going to spend all this money? We have to spend this money this quarter, and it just changed the focus completely.
Yeah, we're stressed about making sure customers are happy and coming up with where the vision is going to keep going. Not stress, that's what drives us.
And I know you are you're open about talking about failures. Can you share maybe a failure that you learned from or that either of you might have had?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, the biggest one was when we launched, we built up all this pent-up demand where we had thousands of customers that wanted to join us on October 14th, 2010. Because we had like a launch date, we followed this whole kind of launch strategy. And so we had hired an offshore, like from the Philippines, this really good team of help desk and people, and we didn't think about that they're 24 hours ahead of us. So we launched on Thursday, and then Friday comes, and that's like their Saturday morning, and we have almost 6,000 customers in the system, hitting areas, finding bugs, trouble tickets, and then our Saturday comes, and it's like the fall, so our kids are in soccer, and Kenny calls me, and he's like, we've got a problem.
It's a big problem.
So it was like, how many tickets do we have? Like,
it was over 1,000 questions or open tickets.
So we have all these tickets, and we have nobody equipped to handle answering them. So we go to his kitchen, get every Mac we can find, and put it on the table, and we recruited neighbors and family. Yeah. And to that day, his father-in-law joined us that day, and he's been with the company ever since.
Yeah, my father-in-law was at that soccer game, so I said, hey, you want to come help us?
And he loved it. He was enjoying it. I was almost dying, and he's like, this is great.
If you could give an entrepreneur only one piece of valuable advice tonight, what would that be? If you can only give us one thing.
Well, I think the thing you said, you don't give up. You can't give up. And we got to the point where we knew, it just felt like it was right. So you got to keep going until it feels like it's so right that nobody can talk you out of it. And no matter what failure you hit, you're going to keep going. And we got to that point eventually.
I agree with that, but also don't give up being an entrepreneur, not necessarily with this particular idea. Don't be so in love with an idea that you're just blind that it might not be a good idea.
And we meet a lot of people like that. Where you're like, well, how are you going to make any money at that? Yeah. Like that's the advice, is build something, like it's the rule, build something people want, but build something people want and they're going to pay you money for. Yeah. Like you can't be in business just to raise awareness or something. That's like a charity. But if you want to be in business, you got to have something valuable that they're going to pay money for, and that's going to keep your company going. And
you have to be able to solve a problem, and for us, and I've heard for a lot of companies, it's solving a problem that you yourself have, You're not envisioning some problem that somebody out there might have,
That's true, and we were lucky because we solved our problem first. And if you can do that, and you're like, wait, I would actually pay money for it, you're like the best research. And then if you can find others that think that, then you're onto something. But if you don't have blinders on yet. Make sure you get to that point where it's like, okay, there's customers and they'll pay me money, then put your blinders on and go. So.
If you had a chance to start over, what one thing would you have done differently?
I don't know. I feel like all of our mistakes and stuff we did got us here.
There's so many things we could have done to avoid problems along the way, but I don't think I'd want to avoid those because we've learned and grown.
Well, here's something amazing is now, we have capital now because we have good cash flow. So our team is incredible. And I look at our original software and it's like embarrassing. Oh, yeah. And because our team is so good now, it's like none of them want to go back into that original code and fix things and stuff. And but I don't know if I could do that over. We did what we could do at that time. We did the best we could do at that time, and in a way, those mistakes and stuff, we still worked. It was part of the journey. So I don't know.
And how do you guys balance, because you have families, you have children, how did you manage to balance as an entrepreneur? Because, like you said, you're working all the time, and you were, originally with your jobs, and then you'd come home and work, and you've got that family, and you've got to make sure that you balance yourself so that you're productive at work.
For me, that was just a season, and it's important, but it can't be all the time. It's not now, people make fun of us because we're out of the office 4:35.
Yeah.
It's not saying we don't work hard, but families
take time off to go. I'm going to Disneyland with my kids tomorrow. So, I mean, take time off, because it's funny how you only have like 4 to 6 hours of productivity a day. So you can work 12 hours all you want, but you're probably wasting most of that time. I mean, I'm not everybody. Some people are machines, but I know that like there's only a certain time you're going to be productive. Go home and enjoy your family, or go to dinner with friends, or go work out. I mean, you can't just sit there and grind all the time.
There's those that might like disagree with us and say you need to hustle more, but you know, in addition to having a successful company, I also value my family relationships. And so if I had hustled more, sure, I might be at a higher level in the success ladder today, but that's not where I want to be.
Well, and part of our vision was to do this to get out of cubicles, because I'm in the software world where I'm sitting in a cubicle and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to work harder. I'm going to become a manager. I'm going to get paid a little bit more to sit in the corner, to work a lot more with a lot more stress. I'm like, that sucks. But now I work hard, and we worked really hard during that season where we didn't sleep for days. I mean, I remember grimacing to stay awake. You're like, I can do this tonight. And if you make it through that season, you know, there's times when you have a harvest and you can like, you know, relax a little bit. So.
How can you, as successful OC entrepreneurs, support as well as attract startups to Orange County?
So we're trying that right now. In addition to the software projects we've got going in our products, we really think that Orange County can be a much bigger tech scene than it is today, you know, the new Silicon Valley or whatever. Because of the family aspect, really, you know. I wouldn't want to raise my family in the city, you know, up in the Bay Area. And there's so much talent down here, and I just think people aren't as connected down here. And so specifically, like in our current office that you've been at, we decided that, wait, we've got some extra space. We've got this whole big room over here that's awesome that nobody's using. So let's just see if people want to co-work here, you know. So we put up a page and had a sign-up form and bought some desks. And so now we've got a couple guys in there that are paying us. And it's a win-win. It's a win for them because they get to kind of experience the startup lifestyle that we have, but also our team loves it because there's just more bodies, there's more excitement, there's more just common denominators across personalities and things.
And I think for so long we were so focused, we had our head down. We didn't even talk to other entrepreneurs. And in the past couple of years we've been doing that. And some of it's because we love to talk about business, but it's also selfish reasons. We want to build this community up so that when we're looking for talent, people want to stay here, because it was hard to find the team we had, because what we were competing against was difficult. I mean, people are like, oh, I just want to move to San Francisco and work for a startup. But then we found those like-minded people. They're a little bit older. They tend to be married. And at the same time, we also have the young kids that are like highly recruited by Google, and it's awesome.
And so like we'll host meetups, and the Orange County Ruby user group met at our office for a while. And you know, just things like that to really just get plugged in.
What is one thing that you're most proud of?
I think the customer's making money. That's incredible. I remember, so we launched and we had that season where trouble tickets were a nightmare, and then we had new software that thousands of people are using, and they're hitting all these areas and finding bugs. And then around Christmas, we ran a report on the system, and we started pulling up what kind of stuff are people teaching. And then we started finding their websites, and it was like, wow, this worked. People are teaching stuff, and they're enjoying it, and their customers are learning, and that was a cool moment.
There's a lady, I think she's in England, that's making a living selling how-to videos on how to decorate a cake. You know, it's like,
and there's thousands of stories like that. I mean, it's incredible. From fitness to how to pass the Navy SEAL training to, there's all kinds of stuff, like how to play your banjo. I mean, everything. It's amazing.
So the last question I have for you guys tonight is, what's next for you? I know there's some new products, some things that you guys are working on. Why don't you share that with everyone?
So I think Kajabi, it fulfilled a goal, and we say that we got our beachhead. You know, we got it out there. We've got customers. We've got a stable company. We've got a team. But now I think we didn't hit all the people out there with knowledge that they could sell, you know, and so there's a variety of reasons why we might not have hit them. And one of them is, I think, just to build software that's way more accessible. And so that's what is next for us, is called Kajabi Next, is what we're calling it now. Brand new system that's going to make it 10 times easier, 100 times easier than it was before. You know, Kajabi was cool, and it still is, but there's certain things like it's up to the instructor to go find how they're going to accept payments and things like that. And Kajabi Next is just integrated. You can log on Upload some videos, say how much you want to charge, and that's it.
Well, I always say we built a bulldozer when a lot of people just need a shovel.
Yeah.
And I think we're going back to try to find that tool that will allow the masses to share knowledge and profit from it.
Yeah.
So that's next. And then also just being involved in the community. We want to start helping other small companies and hopefully mentor them and navigate to where we got.
We've learned so much from the beginning when it was just him designing, me programming, and now we've got a full-time video production guy. I mean, we've got marketing people. We've learned so much about all these different areas that I think that we can help new startups.
That's right.
And so one of our reasons for wanting to co-work, in addition just to having more like-minded people around, is maybe there's some of these people we can mentor and really help them. They might have an awesome idea but not know how to market it out there, and we can show them.
Because we needed somebody like that, and we just kind of kept going and going until we got there. So
yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.